If you could have a drink with anyone in the theater world, who would it be? I'm Anthony Caporale, and I'm running through my list. Each week, I'll sit down with cast members, bartenders, and personalities from New York's theater district and get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to live, work, and play on Broadway. Come have a drink with us on Broadway Bartender. Welcome to Broadway Bartender. My name is Anthony Caporale. We are at New World Stages in the heart of New York's theater district, home to my show, The Imbible, A Spirited History of Drinking. And this week, we're going to start the episode off, as I like to do sometimes, with the favorite drink of my special guest. And luckily for you, it's one that I think you may enjoy as well. This is a classic margarita. Now, I think we've done some variations on the margarita on Broadway Bartender before, but this is going to be a straight-up classic version of the margarita. I'm going to start by filling my mixing tin about halfway with ice, and then, of course, tequila. And I like about 2 ounces of silver tequila per drink, so I'm going to do 4 ounces in this double version. And then about a ½ ounce of triple sec per drink, which is 1 ounce. And then a little simple syrup just to sweeten it up. And I'm just going to do about a ½ ounce of simple syrup, which is a ¼ ounce per drink. I don't like my margaritas particularly sweet. And then 1 ounce of lime juice per drink. And I have some freshly squeezed lime juice here. So I'm going to put in 2 ounces. And before I go ahead and shake the drink, I want to go ahead and prep my glasses. And I don't like to use a lot of salt on my margaritas. I just like to do a little bit. And if I order margaritas, I actually don't like any salt on the rim, but a lot of my guests do. So I just do about a quarter of the rim with salt. I think a well-made margarita probably doesn't really even need any. All right, and so I'm just going to shake this up really, really well. And I'm looking to aerate the drink, chill the drink, and add a little bit of ice melt to take that alcohol burn off of the tequila. Once I get some frost on the tin, I know that it's ready to go. And then I will top these glasses up with some fresh ice. We don't like to use the ice that we shook the drink with because that's already started to melt. And then I'm going to strain this beautiful, fresh silver tequila margarita, and I love the color on that. It almost looks like it, if you do it right, it almost looks like it's glowing under black light. And I'm going to garnish this with a lime wedge right next to the salt rim and use it to welcome my special guest, Cesar Rocha. How are you?
Good, Anthony. How are you? You make that look so easy.
Yeah, well, we're going to see. You're going to do this at the end of the episode. Cheers. Let me know what you think. So you are a margarita fan, yes?
Yeah, delicious, refreshing.
Did we do good?
Thumbs up.
Oh, good, I love it.
Yeah, awesome.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Broadway Bartender. You are a casting agent.
Casting director.
Casting director. Okay,
Yeah,
explain
no,
right off the bat. What's the difference?
Casting directors, we don't call ourselves an agent as we're not representing actors. We're not the folks who are getting actors in the room. We work as part of the creative team as a casting director, someone who coordinates casting for the show, a creative team member of the show.
So now we have spoken with a manager here on the show before, and he talked about the difference between manager and an agent, and he explained was a casting agent. So you are a third piece of the puzzle, but you're on the other side of the desk,
We're on
right?
the other side of the table, so we're the ones seeing the actors audition. We're the ones that are coordinating with the creative team, the director, the choreographers, the producers, about what kind of actors they want, who do they want to see, and then we go through the audition process, auditioning actors or finding actors for the production that they're doing.
So this is going to be fantastically insightful, I think, for a lot of our viewers, especially ones that are aspiring performers. Getting inside the head of a casting director, I mean, I would have loved to have done that back in my younger.
I'm curious to see what's going to come out.
Now, all right, so are you the final decision maker, or what's your role in the whole casting process? Like, lay it out for me.
So we're a part of the creative, we work alongside the creative team to help realize their vision of what kind of actors they want, what kind of look they want, what kind of feel they want for the production. I mean, we're in a season right now that's so varied and wonderful and different with fantastic shows such as Hello Dolly, War Paint, and we have our heavy hitters like Phantom and Wicked and Kinky Boots, and they all, when you walk into the theater and see a show, there's a feel of the show, what kind of actors are on that stage, the look of the world we create. So we try to help create that with a director, our choreographer, our creative team, our producers, help create that world with actors.
And do you now bring them choices and they make the final decision?
Yeah,
or
a lot of
sometimes
times the creative team usually makes the final decision. You know, we're facilitating and helping guide them get what they want. A lot of times it's lovely to hear a director say, this is really what I want in the world, and we're jazzed about bringing in a certain actor, bringing certain kind of people or certain kind of dancers when we're doing a big Broadway ensemble, because we know that the director, the choreographer will make a decision, and then they make the decision. You know, it's put into their hands, and they're the ones who move forward with decision making. But we help them get to that place, and we offer guidance, and we offer, who is this person? They're brand new. They just graduated college. What do you know about them? Well, I saw them on the national tour of, or I saw them in this show downtown. And, you know, a lot of providing information, because now the volume of things that are going on in theater, TV, and film, there's so many actors. And that we're the ones that are looked upon to have the knowledge about who these people are.
So will you work with casting agents and managers to try and fill the room, or how?
Yeah, so we work with agents and managers because they represent talents. They're what we can call the talent stores, and they represent actors. That's the best way. That's been the best way. That's been the best way to explain it. And they, you know, I tell people that it's like being a stylist for someone, and you go around and you shop and you pick pieces that they think they will respond to, and then you bring them to the table and a final decision and let them pick what they love and what they want, but guided by the information they give us, guided by the information that they've told us, guided by what the production is. You know, in the last season where we had something like Hamilton and also Bright Star in the Broadway season, two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
You know, and figuring out what actors live in one world and what actors live in the other.
I love when you make the analogy of calling it the talent store and taking it almost back to like retail. My degree is actually mechanical engineering, and I do small business consulting. I do restaurant consulting, things like that. And I always tell people that it's a myth that this world that we live in isn't a business, because it really very much is.
It's definitely a business.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of folks think that if I graduate college and I'm the best singer in the room, I'm definitely going to get the job, and there's often tons of other considerations, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have to also remember that we feed in talent from everywhere. We've covered Australia, we've covered London, we cover Chicago, we cover LA, we cover, you know, places all over the United States. I worked on $1 Million Quartet, which is a very specific kind of show, a couple of years back, where the guys had to play instruments. So we went to Nashville, we went to Austin, we went to LA multiple times, we went, you know, different places where we could find those kinds of musicians. So the talent pool, once you're out of school, expands so much, and there's so many people out there trying to do this in the best way, and really talented people and fantastic people, and our job is to find those people to be in our shows.
Wow, and I know, you know, we had School of Rock on a few episodes back, and they were talking about how they cast literally a nationwide net for the children. Yeah. And so I can imagine that's something that someone like you would get involved with, right?
Yeah.
In helping.
We worked on Annie, the Annie revival that James Lapine directed, and that was a nationwide search. I remember our first audition. It was June 12th, 2012. Why I can remember that, I have no idea.
Doesn't matter.
But we saw 1,400 girls on our first day in an open call in New York.
Oh, seriously?
1,400 little girls, yeah. And but out of that, 3 of those girls ended up in the show. So we're constantly looking, because especially with children, when we've worked on projects with children, they change constantly.
Yeah. And so you mentioned an interesting thing. You're not just talking about casting new shows. You're actually talking about replacements. I mean, that's a huge business, right?
Yeah. Our office works on Wicked, and I've been lucky to help on that. And it's constantly looking for replacements for that show, because it's been running for 13 years, and it's still keeping the integrity of that show to be fantastic and wonderful, and the same singing stipulations, dance, look, and you know, working on that show has been amazing, because I was a fan of that show before I started working in my office.
Oh, so that's cool. So you get to like help maintain the quality and consistency of the show.
And we have creative team members such as Joe and Stephen Schwartz, and a great producer, David Stone, who is very integral in keeping the show at the highest level and the highest capacity that the show can be at.
So you, I think, have to, it sounds like, if I'm getting this right, it's almost like you have to have like a sense of brand management almost for the shows that you work on, in terms of making sure that the people that you're putting in are right for...
Yeah, well, you're creating a world, you know, does this person live in our world? Is this person, and you know, there's a lot of things, actors, that you can't control, whether it's, you know, how tall you are, what you look like, what your voice sounds like, and it's the same thing. We go back to like last season, where Hamilton and Bright Star were in the same season, but the singers that were right for Bright Star and Hamilton maybe didn't align completely, but they were creating different worlds.
Right.
And not to say that someone from either show wouldn't end up in the other, but when you're creating that world, you have to be careful, and you have to make sure that you're looking for the right pieces.
Wow, that's again, that's incredibly, it gives me a lot of insight into, into what goes on the other side of the desk. And I know, you mentioned like seeing 1,400 people in one day. The amount of time that's got to take for, especially, and that was just one day.
It was an any day. In our office, we're very lucky where we have a great team. All of us in the musical theater department, and we had 7 rooms going, seeing girls constantly. And then Bernie Telsey, my boss, was in a room with James Lapine seeing callback girls. And then the process, that was the first step of the process of a year-long process. So you can only, I remember we did LA, we did Austin, we did Orlando, we did Omaha, so we did a bunch of different cities, so you can only imagine by the end of it how many little girls we saw, but it was because we were wanting to give everyone the opportunity to audition for this iconic Broadway show. And so,
it starts to make sense now why the core creative team just couldn't possibly have time to do that kind of audition schedule and research that you guys put into it. What's the name of the company again? You mentioned it.
Telsey and Company.
Telsey and Company.
Yeah,
website?
Telsey and Co. ANDCO.com.
Awesome. So I got to talk to you guys because I mentioned on the show before, we have a really difficult time casting certain roles in our show, specifically like basses are very difficult to find.
Oh, yeah.
Is a casting director, like, is that something that could maybe even help a show like ours?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So we audition actors and move forward in the audition process or looking for actors, whatever level. I'm currently casting readings. I've done workshops. I've done regional theater stuff. I've done Broadway shows, and we're looking for actors to fill spots with the stipulations of what you need. I need a bass that feels like this and feels like the world. And we go out and we see who, I can rack my brain about like who do I need to see, and then we work with agents and managers and those folks, and even actors who don't have agents or managers that I have had a relationship because I've seen them in auditions, or we've called them in, or I saw them in a concert, or I saw them in a show, and finding those people that are right for the show, and then bringing them into audition.
So I'm sure there are viewers out there that are like, I got to get in touch with Cesar Rocha. Like now, is it ever appropriate for the talent to directly contact you? Is that ever something you would welcome, or do you always want it to go through particular channels?
In a professional manner, of course.
Really?
It's okay, yeah. Professional channels are important because you want to represent yourself as an actor, as a professional of your, I hear agents say this a lot, and it's a great tidbit that I think I've picked up is you are, as an actor, the CEO of your company. And how you represent yourself, whether how you communicate, how you go forward, how you represent yourself in auditions, how you represent yourself in social matters is important because you're creating an opinion about yourself in other people's eyes.
We just had this conversation with one of our guests who brought their manager on, and we were talking about how, as an actor, you're running a small business and you're the product, really, right?
Yeah, you're the product. We live in a fun. My fiance is an interior designer, and he works on a lot of hotels. He's like, well, this fabric, I need a pillow, and I'm like, I wish it was that easy to walk around and be like, well, I need this person. Because you can't, talented people. There are talented people everywhere, and people are amazing. I mean, I've been really lucky that I've worked on shows where, everyone who comes in through the door is incredible. And I think anyone who is pursuing an acting career is talented because they have to believe in themselves, and someone has had to believe in them to pursue that and have the confidence in their talent. So we see talented people every day, but it's a matter of like, you can't build someone. I can't just show up and be like, I need someone who's 6'2", who's a bass, who can also dance as well as Baryshnikov and can lead an entire Broadway show, which we've had those incredible feats in our office and been lucky with the hard work and our resources been able to find those people. Wow.
So I was going to ask you, I think, which is the $64,000 question. What do you look for in a room? But now I don't know, is there even an answer to that?
I think it differs from project to project. I think someone who's confident, someone who's a real person, someone who is prepared, and someone who's able to go with the, roll with the situation. I think we are also casting. You have to remember, when you rehearse a show, you spend how long with those people?
Oh.
You spend time backstage in the rehearsal room, even after the show. You have to, press. So you also want to feel like you're being taken care of by a real human being who's going to be part of your posse, part of your team, and especially on the long-running shows, that's why it's important to keep a good reputation as an actor, to make sure you're in good graces with everyone. You never know who's going to be a producer. You never know who's going to end up being a casting director. You don't know who's going to end up being a director, that person that you worked with 7 years ago, or music director. So it's important because it gets back, and we want to create a room and we want to create an environment that everyone's happy with and everyone wants to spend time with you.
Well, I mean, you're building a company, right? I mean, you're HR basically for shows in a way.
In a way, yeah. We're hiring.
I mean, one of the things that we add when we do to our casting is we actually will sit down and do a brief interview with the person just to see if do they fit.
Yeah.
Like you said, is it someone that we want to spend 20 hours a day with sometimes on
It's a lot of time, and
Yeah.
I mean, you think I'm sure you do too. Is you have your small group of friends who you could spend all day every day with.
Right.
And there's certain people that come in and out.
Right,
of that
right.
company, which are like, cool. One day is, and it's not. We want to make sure we're building a community out of these actors.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, favorite casting credits?
I loved working on Paramore. That was my Broadway debut. The Cirque du Soleil show, which was fantastic.
Wow, how do you cast Cirque?
I got really lucky.
Goodness gracious.
I got really lucky. It was I worked along with Pavel Novotny, who's Pavel, who's the casting director for Cirque du Soleil, and he did all the acrobats. So I did not do any of the acrobats. Okay. That came out of the Cirque du Soleil folks, and then I cast the leads and all the dance and the majority of the dancers. So I didn't have to cast any of the acts, which I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Right.
But it was amazing. It was a cool experience. We had a French director, Philippe, and it was really cool jump into taking care of that. Also, I mean, I get to work on Wicked with Craig Burns in our office, which is, a piece of my heart since I was 16.
Yeah, of course.
And also I got to work on Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which probably is one of the most fun things I've ever worked on.
I
don't know
would
if you got to see it.
imagine.
It was incredible, and from day one, that entire experience was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a performing background yourself? I mean, how'd you get into this? This is a...
Yeah, I'm from Miami, Florida, so I grew up through their Magnet program, which is their performing arts school system. And I did musical theater in high school and did very much all I wanted to do was be on Broadway.
Okay.
That was it. There was nothing else I wanted. You couldn't tell me anything differently. Freshman, sophomore year. And then my junior year, I was like, oh, this is fun. And then senior year, when we were looking into where to go to college, I started talking to people like, so where are you auditioning? Have you set up your auditions? I said, I do not want to audition. That sounds horrifying. Why would I ever go to an audition? So I decided to pursue, I went to college for stage management at CCM, spent 4 years there.
Oh, wow.
And at the end of that, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this either. And then interned at my office, and I've been there since 2009.
And you enjoy it?
Love it.
You found your
Obsessed with
niche?
it. Yeah, I think, coming up the ranks of musical theater performer and musical theater stage management, I never knew what a casting director did because it's a real world job. I think in theater. At school you don't have a casting director.
Right.
And in your community theater productions or your local productions, a lot of them do. But my experience was that I never dealt with a casting director. So getting to the city and working, I interned at an agency first and then interned at my office. And I was like, oh, that's what they do. And I love working with actors. I love working with choreographers. I love working with directors. The creative side of it is amazing.
Well, that's one of the reasons I was excited to have you, because I think the whole casting director role is kind of a mystery to a lot of people, especially if they haven't worked in a major market or on a major production, right?
Yeah, I think it's a job that we come on board kind of first in the process, and a lot of times regional theaters have their own casting departments, but it might also be the artistic directors, the casting director. But when you get to New York, with the amount of work that goes on, someone has to do that, and it's a job. It's a real job, on TV, film. Another credit was I worked on the Into the Woods movie, the Meryl Streep movie, which was really full circle for me, which was amazing because the Bernadette Peters version is something that I grew up watching every day.
Of course.
Yeah, who didn't? Right?
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
So you cross over to film.
Yeah, our office covers TV, film, theater, and commercials, so we do crossover. Yeah.
And will you personally work on different projects, or was that because
I'm
it was
predominantly in the musical theater department, and I cross over into the musical theater crossover stuff.
Got it.
I don't know if I'm ready yet to cast a full movie by myself, but never say never, right?
Okay. So you have, though you do have a more recent performance credit.
Oh, dear.
No, come on, this is amazing. Can we talk?
Of course.
Your video, dude, was one of the
God.
funniest things I've
God.
ever seen.
The most ridiculous thing ever.
Tell our viewers about it.
So I was on Turning Tables, which my friend Ellen Marsh, Andrew Bradis produced. It's a series along with Andrew Chappelle. And it was, Julia Madison is also on it, and they're hilarious people. And they came to us with this concept of what if we made the casting directors audition? And we said, okay, sure. So we put it off. We said, yeah, sure, we're happy to do it. A bunch of us in our office said yes. And then 3 months later, they were like, great, so we'll do it on Saturday. And we're like, what? And they made us audition and sing. I had to go in and sing a song for a show, and they just grilled us so bad. And in the worst way, the most horrible stereotypes
It was
that you would
all-
expect, that none of us would ever do. I don't think I would.
Did you know what was coming?
No idea.
Are you kidding?
Everyone went in individually one by one. I think I was the fourth or fifth person, and everyone just like didn't talk about it because they asked us not to talk about it, so we
Right.
don't know what happened. But they're like, "What song are you singing?" And I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll sing this because there's sheet music and I know 16 bars of this."
Right.
And then they just grilled me. I mean, we must have filmed for an hour, and the episode was only 8 minutes, so you can only imagine the torture they put me through.
It comes across as just being something that I think anyone who's been in an audition room can relate to.
Yeah.
And plus, it's hysterical, and you're so good in
thank
it,
you.
man. I mean, I really enjoyed it.
It was one of those moments where you're like, oh, right, this is why I can't do it. And it's also, it reminds you, like, that's why we're behind the table supporting the actors, because that's the most important thing when in an audition room.
And try to not be those guys.
Yeah, they're horrible, those
Right.
four. They're terrible. No, I love every single one of them, and Ellen's a very, very good friend, and so is Andrew Chappelle. And they really put us through it. And in a humorous way, and
Right.
there was no hard feelings at the end, but at the end of it was like, cool. And it just reminds you, not something that we never forget, but it reminds you that the actor comes in and there's so many situations that can go on, and they're not they come in and trying to do their best work nervous.
Right.
And as much as we can do for them to be comfortable in a room, it's the most important thing.
So, ever bartend, serve, work in a restaurant?
No, my survival job when I got to the city in 2009, I worked at Lush, so retail.
Okay.
So I know about like the epidermis, and I know about like bath products and scents.
Well, that's
but
my favorite place to get bath bombs,
Yeah,
which are
it's the
bubbly,
best.
and I
They're
got a
the
drink
best.
that's got some bubbles in it
Amazing.
for you. Does that work?
Amazing. Yes.
All right, so why don't you switch with places with me here? And wait, before you leave, so I named this drink specifically for your career. I'm calling it the EPA.
That's amazing.
You like that?
Yes.
So
that's
explain
amazing.
to our viewers what that is.
So an EPA is an equity principal audition, which is a required call that the Actors Union, which is Actors Equity, requires us to have, so their members have an opportunity to audition for the shows that we work on.
Great.
Yeah.
So why don't you come back here and let's
Cool.
make a couple EPAs.
I don't think I've ever been behind a bar.
Well, welcome to my world, my friend. Okay, great. So I'm going to talk you through this whole thing. Why don't you start with grabbing
I'm nervous.
this mixing tin
Great.
and putting a little bit of ice in there. And that's enough. All we want to do, we have some Saint Germain, which is elderflower, and that's our E. So I want you to just turn the bottle all the way upside down and count to 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Perfect. And now I just want you to swirl that around. We're just going to chill it. All I want to do is just kind of chill that around a little bit. Great. And there should be a strainer right over there. Yep. And I want you to just strain it right in. Look at you. You sure you haven't done this before?
No, I've never done this
Okay,
before. Do you do it from a certain angle, like a certain
No,
place?
just
anywhere?
it's gravity. It'll just happen. Yeah. Then do a little bit in here so you kind of get it evenly.
No, I don't think I ever trust. I would never trust myself doing this for other people.
Sure you would.
I'd be fired in the first hour of me being at a bar. But they're not even though. I'm also that kind of person.
Great. So that's our elderflower.
Great.
That's E. Now we need P, which is Prosecco.
Nice.
And
Love
there
some
should be a
bubbly.
bottle of Prosecco right
So just
under
leave
there.
this here?
Just leave that right there. I want you to fill it up to about a ½ inch of the rim with Prosecco. And this is actually based on a champagne cocktail. Champagne cocktail is just sugar, champagne, and bitters.
Nice.
So instead of using the sugar, we're using elderflower liqueur, and that's going to sweeten it. You are pouring like you've been doing this your whole life. This
Nope,
is not
definitely
easy
not.
to do, to pour
Definitely.
champagne.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
We've had a lot of parties at my apartment.
Great. Okay, so that's our EP, and now we need A, which is Angostura bitters.
What is that?
That is that right there, and that is bitter. It's the bark of the Angostura tree, and it's been
Fancy.
extracted in alcohol. So it's a bitter preparation. It goes back forever. And I want you to just straight down, I want you to just do a dash, 1, 2 dashes.
Oh.
Great. Look how pretty that is. And that's our E, elderflower, P, Prosecco, A, Angostura, version of a champagne
pretty.
cocktail for
And just like
you.
that?
Just like that.
Amazing. Look how pretty this
Cheers.
is.
See what you think.
That's really pretty.
good, right?
Yeah.
And
that's
it's
really
pretty.
good. Yeah. Look
I
at that. It's
know.
like magical.
Nicely done, my
Yeah,
friend. Well,
thank
welcome
you.
to the bartending world.
Thank you.
Caesar, thank you so
Of
much.
course,
This
thank
was
you for
so
having me.
amazingly
Of course.
informative
Thank
and
you.
just really, really fun.
awesome.
Everyone, check out the video. What's the where can they find it?
Turning Tables, and it should be on YouTube. You can just look up my name, Turning Tables, Cesar Rocha.
Cesar
And
Rocha.
You will hopefully laugh at me being ridiculously grilled by these people who just have no mercy for actors.
Absolutely hysterical. Folks, thanks for watching. Tune in next time, BroadwayBartender.com. Recipes, links to our guest websites. Drink well, drink responsibly. Nicely done, my friend.
Thank you. I spilled though. Now I feel bad about
okay.
myself. I spilled. Awesome. Thank
all
you guys.
good.
Thank you for having me.
Good, man.
I didn't drink too much because I have to go back to work.
that's
That's
fine.
really the real deal. If not,
Don't
that would
worry
have been
about
fun.
it, man.
I know,
It's all
I'm gonna
good.
have a sip of this.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go ahead and do some pictures.